The wind ripped across the ridge, tossing dust into her eyes. She stumbled, knees scraping against loose rocks. Her dress hung in tatters. Dirt streaked her face. Tears dried in patches. No one came. Only her ragged breathing, sharp and uneven. Far-off hoofbeats echoed, swallowed by the wind. She collapsed near the weathered ranch fence. No scream, no name. Nothing but the dry scrape of wood under the breeze. From the porch, he watched, shotgun across his lap. Coffee steaming in a tin mug, eyes narrowed, taking her in, every flinch, every trembling hand. She pressed herself to the ground. Past horrors flickered across her gaze, quick and jagged. He did not ask, did not step forward too fast. Slowly, deliberately, he rose, each footfall quiet on the creaking porch. "Come inside," he said. 3 words. Heavy, measured. Her hands trembled, hesitated. The sun bled low, shadows stretching across the burned barn. A lone crow cut across the sky, wings wide, calling into silence. Dust swirled at her knees. Wind rattled shutters. Somewhere dry wood cracked. He led her to the back porch, letting her pace dictate his. Water in a tin cup, steam curling. He left her alone to catch her breath, silent vigilance in every shadowed corner. She watched the ridge, imagining dangers she could not name. Each scratch, each bruise spoke of battles unseen. Trust felt fragile here, temporary, yet possible. Every glance toward the horizon whispered that peril would return sooner or later. For now, observation reigned. Morning light sliced through the cabin windows, harsh and unforgiving. She traced her fingers along the rough wooden table, hesitant to speak. Dust motes danced in the beams, catching the first rays of sun. He poured more coffee, the hiss and drip filling the quiet between them. No questions, no urging, just a watchful gaze. Every flinch, every tremor noted. Her eyes found a chipped photograph pinned near the fireplace. A family, faces faded, smiles stolen by time and betrayal. A whisper escaped her lips, broken and fragile. "They hurt me. I have nowhere." The words hung, weighty, swallowed by the wind rattling the shutters. Outside, branches scraped against the siding. Somewhere a crow landed on the fence, its eyes sharp, scanning the ridge. Something unseen was moving. He said nothing, expression flat, but memory stirred. Himself, years ago, standing across a barren field, powerless, staring at loss he could not stop. Dual timelines flickered in brief shadows, past trauma mirrored in the present moment. She offered fragments of story, short sentences clipped by fear. Lost nights, silent screams, shadows of violence never named aloud. Hands trembling, shoulders hunched, she revealed herself slowly, cautiously. He reached across the table, placing a hand over hers. Not protective, not commanding, just presence. The ridge beyond hid a shadow she did not yet see. The distant banker, slow, deliberate, unseen but close. Tension wound tight between them, ready to snap. Every whispered word, every hesitant glance sharpened the stakes. Silence pressed down, a fragile stillness holding danger at bay. The rancher's boots crunched against dry soil as he moved toward the barn. She followed, small steps uncertain, curiosity outweighing fear. The air was thick with the smell of hay, dust, and horses. It grounded them, tethered them to the present. He tossed feed into empty troughs, motions practiced, distant. Eyes flicked to the horizon, then back to the animals. Memories flared. A brother lost to greed, a town swallowed by fire, the same banker's shadow lurking in the edges of every memory. He said nothing, yet every movement, the rough caress over a horse's mane, the silent command in his posture, spoke louder than words. She watched closely, absorbing each gesture, each measured breath. Survival lessons hidden in motion. Her own memories surfaced, brief but sharp. Harsh voices, slammed doors, nights crouched in corners, shadows she could not escape. Her breath caught. The present, this safe place, collided with the ghosts of her past. Wind rustled the barn boards. She whispered, voice cracking. "He'll be back." The rancher nodded once, shotgun across his lap, leaning against the barn beam. No words, no promises, just observation. Dust motes danced in shafts of sunlight, mingling past and present like ghosts of memory. A faint whistle carried across the canyon, disguised as wind, a warning. Every corner of the barn, every shadow along the troughs, hinted at hidden danger. She realized the ranch was more than refuge. It was a test, a lesson, a place to learn patience, trust, and vigilance. Every glance from him, every pause in movement, drilled the same silent message. Survive, observe, trust cautiously, their entwined histories pressed close. Suspense rising like smoke over the dry prairie. Danger hovered unseen. The banker's cruelty lingered at the edges of thought, promised, imminent, ready to return. The horizon darkened. Clouds rolled low, carrying dust and distant thunder. She crouched behind the barn, heart hammering, palms pressed to the rough wood. Every footstep along the ridge, every snapping twig made her flinch. Dust swirled in the fading light. From the porch, he watched, eyes narrowed. Shotgun resting lazily across his lap, posture calm, deliberate. Silence thickened, broken only by the rhythm of hooves approaching. Shadows stretched across the ridgeline, long and taunting. The banker's men, unrelenting. She wanted to run, hide, flee into the canyon. But the rancher's slow exhale, the tilt of his head, held her in place. Fear clutched at her chest, then loosened. They moved together, silent steps through dust and debris. She shadowed him like a ghost, learning instinctively. How to stand, how to breathe, how to watch without panic. Every lesson carved into her bones. The banker's influence seeped into every corner. Village whispers, suspicious strangers, distant fires, shadows that lingered long after the sun dipped. Tension wound tight, a rope stretched taut. One misstep, and it would snap. A gust of wind flung the barn doors open. Dust danced like spirits around her. She swallowed hard, recalling lessons from the barn, the porch. Grit under her nails. Cold steel of the shotgun in her hands. Her body remembered. Past trauma met present survival. Future resilience whispered from somewhere deep inside. The shadows moved closer, unaware she was no longer defenseless. He did not rush, did not confront. Suspense coiled between them like a rattlesnake ready to strike. Every glance, every measured breath, every pause drilled the lesson. Anticipate, endure, survive. Her eyes lifted to the ridge. Storm gathering, danger pressing. Moral choice hanging heavy, thunder rolled low over the canyon. She crouched near the creek, shoulders tense, voice barely rising above the wind. Please, help me! Her words scattered like dry leaves, carried off before they could settle. Dust stirred at her knees, cold sweat dampening her palms. From the fading light, his silhouette emerged, calm, deliberate, silent reassurance in each measured step. He scanned the ridge, ears tuned to subtle shifts, hoofbeats, snapping branches, the faint shuffle of boots on rock. Every movement precise, deliberate. Lessons from storms past whispered through his stance, preparation, vigilance, patience. He handed her a satchel, weight modest but meaningful. Supplies for survival. She trembled, hands brushing the leather, but steadied herself under his quiet command. Every glance, every adjustment was a micro-lesson. Stand tall, breathe slow, watch carefully. The canyon seemed to hold its breath with them. Night fell. First drops of rain kissed the dust, steaming on sun-baked earth. They huddled near the barn, listening, waiting, feeling tension stretch tight. Flashes of lightning painted the ridge in stark white. Distant thunder rolled in echoes across the canyon. A crow cawed, wings cutting the sky, signaling unseen danger. She finally whispered, voice soft and trembling. "He'll come back." He did not reply. No words, just the weight of silence, heavy, full of inevitability. The banker's shadow lingered, creeping closer in torchlight from the distant town. Storm and threat converged. The moment hung, taut as a drawn bowstring, teaching survival in stillness. Every heartbeat, every breath, every shiver in the cold air reinforced the lesson. Readiness, patience, endurance. Lightning split the sky, white fire tearing through clouds. Shadows leapt across ridge roads as the banker's men surged forward, boots pounding, hooves scraping. She crouched behind the barn, heart hammering, hands gripping the shotgun like a lifeline. Dust swirled, kicked up by frantic movement. The night smelled of wet earth, rain, and gunpowder. He moved beside her with deliberate calm, eyes scanning, every breath measured. Commands came short, almost whispers, precise. Left. Cover her. Don't move. She obeyed, crouching lower, body tense, learning fast. Shots rang out. No screams, no hesitation. Her hands shook, then steadied. Past trauma met present courage in each controlled movement. Time slowed. Lightning illuminated faces, fear, rage, resolve. The banker appeared briefly. A smug grin twisted across his face, shadowed by desperation. He saw her stance, silent but strong, and realized she was no longer defenseless. Her voice was absent, but every motion spoke. She acted, unflinching, moving with instincts born of lessons learned from barn, porch, and ridge. He protected, guided, but never took her agency. Dust, rain, and the faint scent of blood mingled, cinematic chaos frozen in the frame of the ridge. Every heartbeat, every glance, carried weight, the moral stakes as high as the thunder overhead. Lightning struck again. The ridgeline became a canvas of heroism and horror. Commands continued in whispers, guiding, adjusting, reinforcing survival. Shots rang and echoed. Then silence. Only wind rattled shutters. Only the distant crow cut across the dark sky. The banker retreated, shadows folding back into the ridge, foreshadowing his return. She stood trembling, alive, wounded, unbroken. He did not speak. No words, no praise. Just observation. The lesson was clear: survival. Enduring trauma. Moral choice under fire. The storm passed, leaving ash, dust, and a fragile triumph. Morning light revealed the quiet aftermath. Trampled earth, shattered crates, scattered hay, evidence of chaos now still. She sat on the porch, hands wrapped around a steaming mug, inhaling warmth and the scent of wet wood. He joined her, shotgun leaning against the rail, posture steady, eyes scanning the ridge. No words, no questions, just action. Silence filled the spaces, the rhythm of wind on shutters, distant hoofbeats, the drip of rain from the eaves. Her breathing slowed. Memory of the night's terror ebbed, replaced by fragile trust. Each scar, each bruise, proof of survival, of resilience. He offered her bread. No more. She took it, reclaiming agency in the quiet. Together they surveyed the ridge, the barn, the town beyond. The banker's shadow lingered far away, unseen but not gone. For now, victory felt absolute. Past and present collided, dual timelines merging, trauma reconciled with courage. She whispered thanks, voice small, almost lost in the wind. He nodded once, eyes softening, rare warmth piercing his stoic facade. The wind shifted, carrying the scent of pine and distant fire. Moral lessons hung in the air. Safety is not given. It is earned. She had chosen to stay. He had chosen to protect. Both understood the weight of choice. The land held its breath. The barn, the ridge, the girl's hands wrapped around that mug, all bore witness to survival, to fragile bonds forged in storm and shadow. Her journey from brokenness to strength anchored them both, leaving a quiet, heavy hope that lingered beyond the ridge. Twilight stretched long shadows across the ridge. She stood beside him, eyes fixed on the horizon, rain-soaked hair clinging to her face. The barn behind them, scarred and burned, caught the last glow of sunlight. He rested the shotgun across his lap, posture relaxed yet watchful, listening to the wind whisper through the ridge. Silence stretched, heavy, full of meaning. She spoke softly, almost to herself, voice trembling yet clear. "Who are you in this story?" He did not answer immediately, only the faint shift of weight, the slow inhale, the glance toward distant hills. The camera would linger, framing them against fading sunlight, the burned barn and ridgeline fading into shadow. Moral tension hung between them, past wounds pressed against present choices, the distant possibility of confrontation still waiting. The banker's shadow existed somewhere beyond, distant but unforgotten, a reminder that danger never fully leaves. She inhaled deeply, feeling strength return with each heartbeat. If you're still here listening, courage isn't loud. It is measured. It is survival. It is moral choice. The ridge held its breath, witness to courage, trauma, and redemption intertwined. The wind stirred, carrying distant scents of pine and smoke, tying past and present. The story resolved visually, emotionally, morally, yet questions lingered, echoes of choices yet to be made. They stood side by side, silent, connected by storm, survival, and understanding.